Good morning, fourth grader. Today's packet is for Thursday, April 30th. Reading notes. Compare and contrast the treatment of similar themes and topics. Example, opposition of good and evil, and patterns of events. Example, the quest. In stories, myths, and traditional literature from different cultures. You've probably heard and read stories about kids facing hard choices, good heroes fighting evil villains, or families looking for a better life. These are all examples of story topics. A story's topic is what the story is about. To figure out a story's topic, ask yourself, what is this story about? Two stories can have the same topic but end up being very different stories. Read the two stories below. Story 1, The Jealous Bluebird. Rabbit and Mouse had been friends forever, but Bluebird, who was jealous, tried to separate them. "I will grant you each one wish," said Bluebird. "I wish to travel to a faraway land," Rabbit said, and Bluebird granted the wish, noting with a smirk that Rabbit did not wish he could also return. But Mouse was not fooled. "I wish that my friend will always find his way home," and Bluebird had no choice but to grant this wish too. Story 2, The Sad Frog. Once there lived a frog who wished she could fly. She went to a heron and asked the heron to teach her. "Flying is easy," said the heron. "Just flap your wings like this." And the heron flew away before the frog could say, "But I have no wings." The frog hopped away sadly, wishing for wings she could never have. She didn't realize that a snake near a rock had heard everything and was wishing he could hop as gracefully as the frog. So the story of the jealous bluebird, the topic was what can happen when wishes are made. The theme was true friends will find their way back to each other. In The Sad Frog, the topic is what can happen when wishes are made, but the theme is it is better to value your talents than to wish for someone else's. Both stories share a topic, but have different themes. Thor's Mighty Hammer. One morning, mighty Thor woke to find that his hammer was missing. He woke all the other gods and goddesses, asking if they had seen his hammer, but none of them had. Thor became quite upset because his hammer was the most powerful weapon that the gods possessed. If their enemies heard that the hammer was missing, they might attack. Thor and the other gods were powerless without it. Loki, the trickster god, had an idea about who had stolen Thor's hammer, so he turned himself into a falcon and flew off to find Thrym, the king of the giants. When Loki found Thrym, the giant confessed that it was indeed him that had stolen the hammer while Thor slept. Thrym also said that he had hidden it in a place where no one could find it, and he would not return his hammer until Freya, the most beautiful of all the goddesses, was made his bride. Loki flew off to tell Thor the bad news. They debated and argued, but they came to the conclusion that Freya must become Thrym's wife so that the hammer would be returned. Freya was very upset and did not want to marry Thrym. The god Herondale came up with an idea of dressing mighty Thor up in Freya's clothing and sending him to marry Thrym. Thor did not like the idea of dressing up like a woman, but he disliked the idea of beautiful Freya becoming Thrym's bride even more, so he reluctantly agreed. Thor, dressed as a bride, was accompanied by her handmaiden Loki to Thrym's castle. When Thor and Loki arrived, Thrym welcomed them in and held a feast in their honor. Thinking that Freya was really in love with him, he decided to make his bride wait no longer for the wedding. Fetching the hammer and holding it aloft, he prepared to bless the union. Thor could take it no longer. He ripped off his bridal clothes, grabbed his hammer, struck Thrym with it, and left the land of the giants with his mighty hammer. Perseus and Medusa. Perseus was the son of mighty Zeus, king of all the gods. His mother, Danae, was a beautiful princess whom a cruel king named Polydectes wished to marry. Perseus was not fond of King Polydectes and his wish to marry his mother. Knowing this, the king offered Perseus a deal. If he would bring him the head of Medusa, a hideous monster, he would leave his mother alone. Perseus agreed to this quest and took off. Medusa used to be a very beautiful girl. However, she was very vain. She had made the mistake of boasting that she was the most beautiful girl in the land, and that there was not even a goddess more beautiful than her. The gods heard this, and to punish her, they turned her into a gorgon, a monstrous creature with snakes in her hair. Anyone she laid eyes upon immediately turned to stone. The gods knew that Perseus would need help to accomplish what seemed like an impossible task, so they granted him 5 gifts: the Hades helmet of invisibility, a magical sword that could cut through anything, a shiny mirrored shield made out of the toughest metal, and a magic pouch that would stretch to hold the monster's head. The final gift was winged sandals, which gave him the ability to fly. Using his winged sandals, Perseus flew to the cave where Medusa lived and bravely walked through the entrance. He remembered the gifts that had been given to him by the gods and was grateful for them. Using his shield, Perseus looked at the reflection of Medusa. Hundreds of snakes slithered and hissed from Medusa's head, revealing fangs. Perseus knew that he could not make eye contact with her, so he took a deep breath, shut his eyes, and swung his magical sword. With one swift swoop, Perseus cut off the head of Medusa. Perseus, never looking away from his mirrored shield, quickly grabbed Medusa's snake-infested head and shoved it into the magical pouch. Using his winged sandals, he flew off to return the head to the king. Perseus, turning his eyes away, reached into the pouch and presented it to King Polydectes. The king gasped as he looked into the eyes of Medusa and instantly turned to stone. Perseus had succeeded in his challenge. His mother would never again have to worry about King Polydectes and his pursuit to marry her. So question 1, which of the following would best describe the topic of Thor's mighty hammer and Perseus and Medusa? A, good versus evil, B, compassion, or C, patience? Number 2, which of the following would best describe the theme of Thor's mighty hammer and Perseus and Medusa? A, honesty is the best policy, B, a difficult situation can be turned into a victory, or C, hard work can be a great reward? Number 3, number the events in the order in which they occur in each myth. Thor dresses as Freya. Thor woke to find his hammer was missing. Thor goes on a quest to get his hammer and help Freya. Thor struck Thrym with his hammer. Loki turned himself into a falcon and flew off to find the king. And Thor ripped off his bridal clothing and grabbed his hammer. Number 4. Number the events in the order in which they occur in each myth. Perseus received 5 gifts from the gods. King Polydectes made a deal with Perseus. Perseus swung his magical sword to cut off Medusa's head. Polydectes wished to marry Perseus's mother, Danae, and King Polydectes turned to stone. The stories, myths, and traditional literature. Directions. Read the short stories below and then answer the questions. The Monkey and the Pea, a tale from India. One day the king of Benares went on a hunting trip with his wise counselor. After traveling for a short time, they stopped to feed the king's horses some peas. Suddenly, a young monkey jumped down from a tree and scooped up a huge handful of peas from the horse's feeding trough. As the monkey scrambled back up the tree, one pea fell out of the monkey's furry hands. Desperately, the monkey tried to catch it, but as he reached out his hand, he dropped all the peas he was carrying in the process. Peas scattered on the ground where the horses ate them. The monkey sadly climbed back to his branch in the tree empty-handed. The king and his wise counselor watched this with great interest. The counselor chuckled and said, "Great king, when far too greedy you be, remember that monkey and the pea." The Golden Touch, a Greek myth. There was once a king named Midas who did a good deed for Satar. As a result, he was granted a wish by the god of wine, Dionysus. For his wish, Midas asked that everything he touched would turn to gold. Even though Dionysus tried to discourage him, Midas insisted that this was what he wanted, and so his wish was granted. Excitedly, Midas went around touching a number of things, turning them into gold. After a while, though, Midas became hungry and he picked up a piece of food. Unfortunately, he could not eat it because it had turned to gold in his hand. I'll starve, complained Midas. Perhaps my wish wasn't such a good wish after all. Midas's daughter, seeing his sadness, threw her arms around him to comfort him, but she too turned to gold. The golden touch is not a blessing, cried Midas. He walked down to the river and wept, and as he cried, the sand of the river turned as yellow as fool's gold. On that day, people say that King Midas's tears washed away the curse of the golden touch. Comparing the monkey and the pea to the golden touch. Question 1. What is the common theme between these two myths? Question 2. How are the patterns of events in both myths similar, and how are they different? I can write an opinion piece on a topic supporting my point of view with reasons and evidence. This week, we'll focus on opinion writing. This is your opportunity to practice the power of using your thoughts to effectively communicate your opinion. In order to allow you to work on the different elements of a complete writing piece, each day has its own focus. By Thursday, you will have a completed opinion piece. Thursday, write your conclusion. This is your chance to bring all of your thoughts to an end and leave the reader thinking. Writing situation. Learning important life lessons helps us grow and become mature young persons and adults. Sometimes we learn those lessons from reading a book or watching a movie or television show. At other times, we learn valuable practical wisdom from events which took place in our lives of persons who are close to us. Writing directions. Which lesson has the most lasting impact? One which you read about or seen on the screen, or one which actually happens to you? Write an article for your school newsletter in which you share your opinion regarding the source of the most valuable lesson. Back up your beliefs with strong reasons. Below, write the conclusion to your piece. Math. I can solve for area and perimeter problems in which there is an unknown factor. Find the unknown measure, area known. Katie's notebook has an area of 88 square inches. Her notebook is 8 inches wide. How long is Katie's notebook? Use the formula for area. Area equals length times width. Plug in the values that you know. 88 equals length times 8. Think 8 times what equals 88, or 88 divided by 8. Find the unknown value. The length is 11 inches. Find the unknown measure, perimeter known. Molly's rectangular purse has a perimeter of 38 inches. If her purse is 7 inches wide, how long is it? Use the formula for perimeter. Plug in the values you know. Step 1. Add the known sides. Step 2. Subtract from known perimeter. Step 3. Divide by 2 equal sides. So the perimeter is 38 inches, and one side is 7 inches. We know that 38 equals 7 plus 7 plus s plus s. 38 minus 14 equals 24. 24 divided by 2 is 12 inches. Practice, find the unknown measure. Exit slip. If the area of this rectangle is 48 square centimeters, what is the length of the missing side? Question 2. If a garden has a perimeter of 50 feet and the length of one side is 10 feet, what is the length of the other side? Gerald built a rectangular table with an area of 24 square feet. If the table is 4 feet wide, what is the length of the table? Draw and label a diagram of the table. Length equals blank feet. Science. Target. I can construct an argument that plants and animals have internal and external structures that function to support survival, growth, behavior, and reproductions. Directions. Review the notes. Complete the worksheets. You can either write the structure's name in the box, or you can clearly draw arrows to the box that the structure matches up with. Take the exit slip. Inside the digestive system. The digestive system helps your body convert food to fuel. And after you swallow your food, it passes down the esophagus and into the stomach. It then gets passed to the small and large intestines. The digestive system is a series of tube-like organs. They transform our meals into body fuel. Together, these organs are about 30 feet long. They start with the mouth and end with the anus. Along the way, food is broken down. It gets sorted and reprocessed. The nutrients and fuel are then circulated around the body. They nourish and replace cells. They also supply energy to our muscles. Changing food to fuel. The food on your plate must be mashed up into a gooey liquid before you digest it. Otherwise, your body cannot use it. Your digestive system can then split the food into parts that your body can use. Proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, and minerals. Your teeth start the process. They chew and grind up each mouthful of food. Your tongue works it into a ball-shaped mass. Then you can swallow it. Glands deliver saliva into your mouth. It moistens the mouth. That starts the process of chemical digestion. Saliva uses special proteins called enzymes. These are released at various points along the digestive tract. Enzymes break down the food. They change larger molecules into smaller molecules. The body can absorb small molecules. Chewing involves voluntary muscles. These are the muscles that we can control intentionally. Once we swallow, however, digestion becomes involuntary. That means we do not intentionally control it. Food passes down the throat to the esophagus. This is the first organ out of many hollow organs that move food through muscular contractions. This means that the muscles squeeze and push the food along. These contractions are known as peristalsis. The esophagus unloads into the stomach. The stomach is a large muscular chamber. Here, digestive juices get added to the food. These juices include the enzyme pepsin. It breaks down proteins. Another enzyme, lipase, breaks down fats. The juices also include hydrochloric acid. It helps dissolve stomach contents. It also kills possibly harmful bacteria. During this digestion process, the stomach forms a fluid-like paste. It is called chyme. The stomach seals in the chyme using two sphincter muscles. These muscles hold the food in the stomach for several hours. Then the chyme is pushed into the duodenum. It is the first section of the small intestine. It makes large amounts of mucus. Mucus is a slimy substance. It protects the intestines from acid in the chyme. The small intestine is about 20 feet long. It is where most digestion happens. It is also where nutrients are absorbed. These nutrients are taken up into the bloodstream. This happens by millions of tiny finger-like projections. They're called villi. The nutrients are then moved to the liver. What's left in the digestive tract passes into the large intestine. There, it is eaten by billions of harmless bacteria. The waste then gets mixed with dead cells. This forms solid feces. Water is reabsorbed into the body. At the same time, feces are removed into the rectum to wait for removal. The rectum is like a waiting room. It is next to the anus. So what is the function? Draw or drag the structure to the box with its correct function. We have where food is broken down by acids, where nutrients are absorbed from food, where water is removed from chyme and absorbed. Your choices are large intestine, the stomach, and the small intestine. The respiratory system. The respiratory system is the system that controls our breathing. First, we breathe in oxygen through our mouth or nose. Your body needs oxygen to survive. Next, our trachea, or windpipe, takes the oxygen to the lungs. Your lungs rest on a dome-shaped muscle called the diaphragm. It controls the movement of your lungs. Think of your lungs like balloons. When your diaphragm moves down, it contracts. Your lungs fill up with air. When you breathe out, your lungs shrink and your diaphragm moves up and expands. When we breathe out, we don't breathe out oxygen. We breathe out a gas called carbon dioxide instead. That's great because that's what plants breathe in. It's like a cycle. Lungs, ribcage, diaphragm. What is the function? We have muscle that expands and contracts your lungs. We have a pipe that allows air to enter your lungs. And we have structures that take in oxygen and give off carbon dioxide. And your choices are trachea, diaphragm, and lungs. Target, I can construct an argument that plants and animals have internal and external structures that function to support survival, growth, behavior, and reproduction. Exit slip, what is the purpose of the digestive system? A, to help your body breathe. B, to help your body break down food to absorb water and nutrients. C, to help your body pump blood. D, to help your body fight off diseases. Number 2, what is the purpose of the respiratory system? A, to help your body breathe. B, to help your body break down food to absorb water and nutrients. C, to help your body pump blood. D, to help your body fight off diseases. Number 3, which of these structures is part of the digestive system? A, capillaries. B, bones. C, small intestine. D, diaphragm. Number 4, which of these structures is part of the respiratory system? A, capillaries. B, bones. C, small intestine. Or D, diaphragm. Flash warm-up. Jog in place 15 seconds. Sprint in place 15 seconds. Jog in place 15 seconds. Push-up position 30 seconds. Sprint in place 15 seconds. Jog in place 30 seconds. Whoa, that was fast. Can you do it again? Sprint in place 15 seconds. Spanish. Review the different sentence structures we have learned. Scan the QR code to watch an instructional video. Examples. This dress shirt is soft. My belt is big. My socks are not dirty. If you're describing a plural, ends in an S word, you have to use son, which means are, and make the adjective plural. I have a red skirt. If you are describing a feminine girl word and the adjective ends in -o, change it to an -a. Write sentences to describe the LaRopa 3 words. See your packet from yesterday. Quizlet. Study online at Quizlet.com, and here's the code. Amazing, awesome, big, black, blue, boring, bouncy, boyish, brown, colorful, comfortable, cool, dirty, epic, girly, gray, green, hard, huge, interesting, long, orange, perfecto, pink, plain, pretty, purple, red, short, small, soft, tall, turquoise, white, and yellow. And that is the end of today's NTI packet.